Okay, hello. No, we ran behind. I was trying to keep track and change the times. But it's a nine of spades week. The nine of spades and deals with endings, letting things go. Gina isn't able to join us this morning. It's also another concept of the nine of spades. Also, is actually can cause disruptions, or it deals with relationships a lot. I believe as you It's funny that, and I don't know if you can see in this little thing here, that's below it. It has the King of Hearts, Mercury. It's funny.
Oh yeah.
Final phase has the King of Hearts, um, and it's Mercury Venus position naturally, and it's challenged by the nine of Hearts. So it deals with emotions, and a lot of times temperaments, men. It speaks about as well. But space, of course, is about work also, um, health. So trying to keep a stable mind, basically. I'm sorry, there's a security.
keep, keep a stable mind, like when everything's changing. You mean like when everything starts to change because the nine is that let go and grow kind of number.
Yeah, or keeping a peace of mind. It has a four of clubs as well. Let me see. Go back to.
Is this the nine of spades this week? Is that where the one you have up here? Is this where the nine of spades is this week in the spread, or is that just
No, that's just a random. Uh,
okay? And it just happens to be the king of hearts and the Mercury.
yeah, that's why I said it was funny. It was kind of ironic because it has the king
Mhm.
already.
It's a really interesting one if you think about it, because it's got the King Hearts of Mercury and then the 10, to come to the next thing, and then another nine, and then the changes, and then the initiation. Like, it's definitely that type of time of year for people where it's like, what are you going to do as we learn more and more about what's could be our reality? Like, what are you letting go to bring forth your heart? How are you going to fully expand? What do you see that you need to release? Do you know what I mean? What changes can you make from the way you thought everything was? Because the thing about our hearts is, because they're so sensitive, we put a lot of energy into protecting them. And I don't know that we always need to, but there's a lot of in my work with people, ways that people protect themselves with their personalities, with their willingness, but in the heart, there really is a discernment that says, I want to stay open, but not necessarily manipulated, right? Because I think sometimes when you get manipulated in the heart, that's what makes you not want to play with your heart anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it does deals with relationships a lot, and kind of people kind of close by you, trying to keep um, a stable mind. I think when it comes, like you said, to people and building relationships with people, we tend to sometimes isolate ourselves based upon experiences we had. If we've been hurt, and that's the king of hearts. They're here to love a lot of people, and you see a lot of times that this card is spoken of, and it's called like the hermit. You know, someone that kind of
Oh, is it really? I never put those two together. The King of Hearts is the Hermit. That's
no
hilarious.
space. That's what I'm speaking about, but the nine of spades, the king of hearts. No, and that's why I said it's kind of a contradiction when people say that when I look at the nine of hearts, though, because for it to be the hermit, it wouldn't be in service to people. It wouldn't be able to spread the joy and happiness that it should be, because it's not supposed to be really a selfish card. I think on the low end, maybe you see, because there's always these highs and lows of the cards and the energy. Um, you can see that person or that particular card maybe keep to themselves and not want to be as giving, or loving, based on point, like trying to hold your the cards close to your heart, and not being open and letting people in, and maybe not and um valuing people, and the connection that you have to people.
Mm-hmm.
But also this card, and that value, I think, is also the six of hearts as well, because this card has the Six of Hearts and what is it? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter.
Hmm.
So people are, I think if they use the Six of Hearts, they should. It is about making that connection and valuing the relationships that you have, and maintaining relationships because it says maintaining a job, but really maintaining relationships. I think and using the people around you, and being go back and touch and heal, you know, and
It's
heal.
really hard sometimes, right? Because people are kind of on purpose triggering each other for the purpose of polishing. Like, it's difficult to be in certain situations. It's difficult to live through seeing your child do stuff you did and not feeling like you know what to do or what to say, or to see people's innocence kind of getting like taken over by somebody who can't regulate themselves and is just like throwing things out that are just making it so nobody can really see straight. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of times that it to retreat is almost like the only thing you can think to do and to get strong enough to come back in, because people really don't recognize the damage they do to the things around them until they mature. Like, when we're younger, we don't even know sometimes what we're doing to the people around us when we're like throwing our fits or acting out or fuck you, like saying excuse me, saying whatever we say to our parents the way we do. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a time of rebellion and individuation, and I think the nines really embody that. Like, I've got to push off, but it doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. It doesn't mean that you have to be hurtful to say, I can't find the me I'm going to be next when I'm around you. I need to push off and I need to find it. And I don't know why it hurts so much to leave this closeness to you, but I know I need to find out more of me. And to be able to let that happen without acting out and causing scenes and spinning off with your friends and getting everybody involved is really hard.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's um, a key aspect to the nine of spades to keep their sanity, to keep their peace of mind, because those things would be important, right?
Mhm.
Uh, It also says that there are stints where the card isn't capable of maybe even working or work activity because of psychic interference. And always sometimes I see psychic interference when you focusing your mind on something consistently, or someone's focusing on you. Um, I believe also that the interference is like just work relationships and people that disrupts your peace of mind. Because you built such a close bond in relationships. Non-space and is also considered like destiny. I also look at like friends, families, relationships, and people that you just connected to inevitably. The people that you put here on this particular life path to finish something in this life path. It's like you're
Mhm.
bound to be in relationship with these people. One second, I don't want it to connect to my car. It's always convenient.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at the cards of everybody here in Utah and where they were at, I mean, I think it's Bree who has an ace of diamonds here, but she also has in her Mercury this spread. She has the king of diamonds in Mercury, and Miles and I are both king of diamonds, and we're learning to communicate differently with my grandson who's a nine of diamonds, and the different dynamics. Like, it's pretty fascinating. And yesterday, I've had these rainbow candles for like ever. Like, as they drip down, they make like rainbow colors. I mean, 8 years or so, and I have always wanted one of those clawfoot round tables. I literally bought one like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe more, 10 years ago, and could never pick it up because I didn't have a truck, but I had it there, right? So I left Jersey without it because I was like, I can't go back after all these years and ask where that table is. It's like a garage sale kind of thing. It's a oak clawfoot table that I just adore, and I love the roundness of it. Yesterday at the Hi, J-Lo. Yesterday at it's called DI. It's like thrift store here. There was that table, and it was $40. And so I picked up the table, brought home, and I lit the rainbow candles there, and literally said sort of what you're saying. I said, I'm so grateful that all of you are willing to say yes, and in this moment of my life to help me grow through and do what I can do and become like I'm living my rainbow dream. Like I'm living all the things I love. Like I'm getting to open from the inside out differently, and because of all of you and our position to each other, that's part of why this is happening. So thank you so much. So I think that goes to what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Recognizing the also recognizing, like you said, just how people push you to grow, and develop, and the connectedness that you have. This nons is like I said, people oriented. I'm trying to think um, about his spread. I always trying to memorize it.
What
The
spread? What spread do you think? Look, I'm trying to memorize.
the supportive karma cards is a six. That's what it is, and the six of space. I was like, "Where's the two?" I know there's a two in Mercury, but there's another two. I don't know if I might have messed up my camera now. Hold on.
Did mine go off when I go look at? I'm going to look at the spread. Can you still see me?
Yeah, but there's another two. Can you see me? Am I back now? It says loading. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a two of spades. It's a two of diamonds and Uranus and a two of hearts. But I was like, where's the two of spades? But there's a two of spades. I guess kind of vertically dealing with the king of clubs because the king of clubs has a two of spades that it deals with as well.
What spread are you looking at?
But
The live spread.
yeah, yeah, the life spread. I'm going
Okay.
to the,
Okay.
but I don't have the whole life spread in front of me. So, but yeah, the two of
I
spades.
can open it up if you want to. So you're looking at the what card are you looking at to know what the you look at the nine of diamonds or you look at the nine of spades?
Nine of diamonds. No, yes, it's fine. I only can't do it.
It
Allowed you
says
to.
it's the five of diamonds and the queen of diamonds is in the box on the live spread. Five of diamonds is the positive karma, and the challenging karma is the queen of diamonds. Wow, queen of diamonds, challenging karma. That sucks.
No, I was talking about the nine of spades, not the
Oh,
nine of
okay.
diamonds.
All right, my bad. That's why I was like, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I was talking about the.
oh, they have the six of spades and the king of hearts. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
balance. Yeah.
yeah, but I was speaking about the king of clubs. I was looking for the two of spades, but twos in relationships, and because the two of spades is dealing with your soulmates, the spiritual connection that you have, working connection as well. But spades are really to focus on the spiritual side and the spiritual connections and the health, which when I look at it and I'm here, is you recognize how much your health is connected to your spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Also you have you inherit a lot of health defects from your families as well, from your family.
Oh
So
yeah.
so it's like this intertwined relationship, that you can't really break. So that's why I said it's like such a powerful connections, like a two of spades, the nines, are those really powerful meaning connections that you come to. Six and nines, I think, are some of the most meaningful connections, and sometimes the hardest connections to have as well, because they're so important to your personal development. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Also, um, but the six as well has a connection, is connected to the two of spades. Also, so the two of spades is like we say the soulmate card. There's a Cardi B and Offset. I think connection is that like it's that combined that they'll never leave each other. Basically, Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
phase, the early childhood is very important. The relationship to your family, friends, really plays an effect on the nine of spades. So that in this week, I know we're talking about the weekly energy, but also it as a person. But yeah, your family, friends, and relationships,
Mm-hmm.
develop you. The way that you think, your thinking patterns, and sometimes finding that person, that soulmate, is kind of tough, and the non-space have to get over letting go of relationships not letting relationship affect it so much as well. And like I said, we've been talking about a little bit why it's so important, and sometimes why the mental peace can be disrupted. I know I'm going out on like a tangent,
It's okay. I want to hear your mental piece
but
of the nine of spades and the family connections and how it's ancestral. I'm tracking. You know
right,
that my brain can follow you.
right, without all those important words you just said. But yeah, ancestral. It's like an ancestral, meaningful connection that it does have, and we all often call the 10 of diamonds the card of the ancestors, right? You know, the nines is always the things that connect us. The things that kind of like your Pluto card. It says like those shared resources. So
Mhm.
shared connections that you have. Like I said, sometimes the most important, and and like I said, the ones that it's hard to let go as well. Our family and moving away from our family and journeying off and valuing the connections you have with other people, creating new relationships. Sometimes it's hard because we're so attached to the people before us. So for this card not to have such a rough path in life, they have to know when a relationship has um, when it's time to let something go, and also value the things that you've learned. Is finding that balance. Because I think that's hard sometimes is knowing when to let go, then also valuing what you have gained from your relationships. That makes sense.
Okay. No, I totally agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the part where you talk about how we have stuff from our family, like I definitely look like and move like my father, do you know? And when he got older, he got shingles, and just recently it started to come up again, and I'm like, oh no, but I think it's this week, and I was like, I think there's something happening this week for me. And I've also been drinking celery juice every day, which is really supporting my kidneys and helping my legs not hurt anymore. So all these like learnings about what it is to totally take care of yourself in a way that you are not packing, right? Because anytime you're in the cycles of life with these numbers, with these like going from one thing to the next, death, birth, rebirth, right? Everything we can do to let go of what no longer serves us when we start again is great, right? And that is where, for me, my spiritual, my tuning, what I put around me, what I put in my body, right? Because it's so easy to recycle the same thing. Like, how many times people in a relationship, they have a certain dynamic and then they go into the next relationship, especially if it's really quick and reboundy, and it's the same thing times 10, right?
Mhm.
Because you haven't really shifted what's happening inside of you in a way that it's not just coming with you
No, yeah,
out again.
yes, and it's also the death and a death and rebirth card as well. You know, so no, you definitely right. It is a cleansing card. We've been talking about health as we like maintaining work health, and today more or less mental health. And that's also has the 8 of clubs and Pluto as well. But along with your mental health, we was talking about how the gut is also your second brain as well. So the hearts and the mind, are all of those things connect. So when you're looking at the nine, you have the 9 of clubs, 9 of spades, 9 of hearts. So it is like a death and rebirth. You want to let go, as we was talking about, as I was saying, of the past, so you don't have those old relationship patterns that you've learned. Learning something new. It's kind of hard to do, teach
Mhm.
new tricks. They say
Well, yeah,
sometimes.
because it's like built in, it's kind of like the autopilot things, right? Because I had no idea I was adopting and merging so much with his energy, right? I was just living a life, right? So it's a consciousness that needs to come into play to say, what is yours, and what is mine. And I want to take what I can learn, and I want to still focus on growing divine, because his thought system and his motivations were different than mine. He lived at a different time, you know. But look at what J-Lo's saying. Did you see it? Hi, J-Lo. Happy Sunday to you too.
Yeah, I didn't get to read it all the way. I have Mercury 9 of diamonds, and my daughter is a 2 of clubs, and She's that can explain so much about our relationship.
Mm.
Yeah, the nine of diamonds is Venus. The two of clubs is Venus. In which part? Um,
I was looking at the next thing.
that's
You said, oh my
Mercury nine
God, my
diamonds. I'm
girl.
sorry. So that's Mars for you, actually. For the Jack of clubs.
I was reading the next one about the rashes.
We're right. Patches nine of diamonds. Nine clubs, could yeah, possibly. I think you're referring to the fact that nine of spades has all the nines entangled to it. So
Hmm.
therefore, all the nines getting kind of triggered, right? Within.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it definitely deals with illnesses, letting things go, creating new habits as well. Like you said, things that um, um, doesn't sustain you no more. Things that is kind of old and kind of worn out, letting go of patterns and putting on getting new patterns, eating habits. And a lot of times nines takes they call it the card of rituals as well. You know, I think certain things do you do need a ritual, and then also to implement new things, you need rituals as well. Along with the eating habits, or especially when it comes to health, because you got to think about when you're going through something as far as health wise, and you getting on a new routine or a new regimen, right? You know, so you create new patterns. Those are rituals to me. That's why I think a ritual is the use of medicine is magic witchcraft. uh, and the non-space is, I think, is the magician, is one of the magicians.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But I guess there depends on where their focus is. Do you know what I mean? Because you can be a magician with whatever way that you're using your power, right? So if it's spiritual, emotional, physical, like where you're putting your energy. Because the thing about alchemy is it all has to do with where our focus is,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying earlier about the which part? Oh yeah, the four of clubs, about where they lie their focus on, or whether if because that psychism, not letting other people's psychic interference, not letting psychic interference bog you down or interfere with your work habits. Is something that they say about the nine of clubs, and I see that as also so you focusing on them. But it's funny, nine of clubs, nine of spades, right? Sitting in Uranus, Venus. So, but it's funny that you mentioned that, because how do you feel about communicating in long distance, like psychic wise, or letting other people interfere with you, um, your mental
Well,
capability?
I have had experiences with getting really aligned and close to people, and they're like in my dreams, and they're like coming up all the time. Like I hear their voice almost like really like, and I don't always develop those things because I find them a little bit distracting. And though when say somebody says to me, Madeline, I'm gonna have this event or do this, can you light a candle or say a prayer? I'll do that, and I'll find that I'm kind of like tuned into the space in a way, but I'm still exactly where I am. Do you know what I mean? Whereas when I'm doing the telepathic stuff with somebody that I'm really close to, and then we're kind of like riding side by side energetically in the spiritual realms, that sometimes, and I think if I'm honest, I appreciate it. It's not a bad thing, but it's a little bit distracting because the other person's energy becomes so strong in my space, right? So with one that I think of, I purposely had to kind of pray and say, this is not how I want to use my focus. Like I want to know my stillness. I'm getting distracted by what I'm feeling's happening. Do you know what I mean? I remember one time, I don't want to be too vivid, but I'm like, wow, I can't believe how much I knew exactly what that person was doing exactly in that second, and how I felt it in my body too. I was like, wow, what the heck is that? Do you know? So that to me just let me recognize how deeply interwoven everybody is. So I have been more careful about that. And many of my friends and different people I know, they'll do distance healing and this and that. And like, it has happened that I'll tune into somebody and kind of like be able to think certain thoughts or breathe into things or offer some guidance or maybe even like do something physical myself outside that might potentially serve the other. But I don't sing about that or talk about that because I've not been formally trained per se. But everything for me is so intuitive. So even in that, I mean, to trust our intuition's ability to guide us when sometimes things are a little weird, you know, they're not what you normally think. You're like, oh my gosh, like I'm hearing that person's voice right now, or I'm seeing them where they are. Like that's really kind of weird. I know J Lo has all sorts of ways that she tunes in like that too, you know. So I I don't know if I answered the question. I feel like I went all over the place with it because it's such a new thing that's getting louder. Like even going into my new job, like I'm wondering how to manage my psychicness, right? Because I don't even know how much it plays out in the questions I ask, the things that I say, things that I do, because I'm always tuning in and trying to bring up whatever I'm feeling, you know. So that may not be appropriate, you know. So but then it's like I don't want to be without my radar, if you will.
No, no, you're fine. I think the use of, and that's another card. I think key to this card. I don't know if it's actually said about, but it's using the intuition. If everyone says it's using the intuition, uh,
Mm-hmm.
using, I think, that ability to connect with people, because I was talking about the four of clubs and disrupting one's peace of mind, but also I have to look at the two of hearts and Mercury, and I've mentioned it before or a lot here recently on this video about the importance of and the connectedness that it has to someone. When I look at the two of hearts, I do look at it as sometimes curiosity killed the cat, and I say that because of what you just said sometimes as well, because I can be so fixated and curious about
Mm-hmm.
another person that person that it also gives power to that person as well, or time and attention, warranted or unwarranted, to that person. So and I think it does, you create this fantasy, about a person, and whatever mental state that you're in your head, it can be negative or positive depending on the relationship, but if you more if you're insecure, or if you're too worried about a person, it can distract you, you know
Yeah,
and,
that's what I mean. Like if you get too attached.
mhm,
I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
and sitting, Venus Neptune, that attachment, and you can lose out probably on a lot of just time, emotions, and deplete yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like when she says protect self boundaries, you know, I think that's one of the things that when you get so close to someone, even like when you fall in love and stuff in the beginning of the way things grow, right? Like it's like, oh, I don't care. You can oh, you can use my toothbrush. Oh, I don't care. You can come over whenever you want, like whatever, you know, because you're just like, yay, you know, we're all together now, you know. But then when it comes to the clarity of each being growing to who it is and why it's here, we don't want to be all mushed together. That's not going to help us grow clear, right? We need to have a certain amount of like awareness of where we end and begin so that our sovereignty can reign, right? Because even in children and letting them go as they get older, like for a section of time, you were like one unit, you know, and then gradually you become your own unit, and it's really easy to get, you know, entangled where those lines still hold. What is she saying?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was speaking about earlier. Is
Mm-hmm.
is that fine line between being destined and having these permanent attachments within family, but then also having things go, and open up to new relationships and not get so personally involved. Creating boundaries within yourself, and
But you
others.
gotta know those. I guess you gotta know. Like she's like, no one ever touches my toothbrush. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily like anybody touch my toothbrush either. So like, but the thing is, like, when you merge, sometimes without that self-awareness, you can lose your ability to feel strong because your confidence is also part of your ability to discern and to speak what you need.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Your
I got.
confidence also comes from being able to discern for yourself and then speak what you need, right? So if you're easily pushed down or washed over or manipulated, that's a hard way to grow confidence.
Oh yes, yes, most definitely. And also with this card, I hate the way sometimes the books and the energy of it is that a person finds their confidence through the way of another person that comes along, like a more kingly person, that instills
Mhm.
confidence back into them. Says that about the King Nine of Clubs as well. Also, um, and both of those cards are challenged by the King of Hearts and the Queen of Hearts, like the father and the mother, basically. Um,
Mhm.
challenge for both of those cards. But yeah, it's like the a leader without a voice. How can he lead without having that confidence and voice and knowing who he is and his destiny or his path? Which
Mhm.
another huge trait of this card is completing. You're here to complete a journey and to do something important. Not just just a job, rather, or something that's minuscule to your complete purpose, maybe a worldly purpose. But it's not supposed
Mhm.
to really meek. This is a universal card, so it's here for a multitude of people. So, and in order to do that, you got to walk with purpose and a voice.
But you got to know it, right? And that's part of the learning and discerning, because at first, especially if you have that humanitarian design and you just want to be part of it, and one of the things I think is a big thing that we're all breaking through in this Nine of Spades week is the understanding that dominance does not create a balanced relationship.
Hmm.
Like dominance is not for us, right? Like self like, regulation, being able to manage yourself. Yeah, like bring it, right? But to have skills to create dominance over others or persuade others, whereas in the other consciousness that might have had a value, I personally believe that tenet of humanness is really getting challenged by our awareness of like, why would we want to exhibit dominance over something else? Like what would that actually be for in regards to the oneness? Like just to, wouldn't that just be like getting yourself a point? Do you know what I mean? Like I was able to get these five people to do what I wanted instead of them doing what they might have wanted, or us all finding something together that worked for everybody. Like does that really bring health? But because dominance is still played out, we're still in the lingerings of the way dominance is played out through tone of voice and things like that, or just the shame that comes with like, are you a good guy or a bad guy kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? When we're all the parts, we're everything. So yeah, I really think what that dominance piece is really wanting to be released. What are you thinking about
Very
that?
true.
You agree,
No, I
disagree?
thought
How's
you. No, I thought you froze. No, yeah, that's also another. I think another part of when you get attached to people, right? Is this attachment and control of having things a certain type of way, getting conditioned and groomed. Like I said, if you're worried or fearful about your person, your partner, or whomever, with them leaving, or just about your things, your items, or the things that you have, things that you like, things that you love, or having any type of dominance. isn't really recommended for this card. And that goes with the King of Hearts as well, being controlling within your relationships. A lot of times I've spoken about the kings. Someone was saying I say tyrant too much, or we say people are tyrant within the cards too much. Sometimes I agree, uh, but the kings do have a dominant personality or profile, about people and the relationships that's around them.
No, I
And
told you my friends used to joke and say Maddie's got a strong pimp hand. Like that was like one of the jokes at the bar. Like fucking Maddie, man, she got a strong pimp hand. So, and I think it's the king thing, and I think it's just my tone of voice and stuff. But it's from what am I trying to gain access? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's my motivation? Right, because it's kind of like built into the kind of car I am. It's kind of my part of my engine. Do you know what I mean? Like the way I talk, like forever. If I start to talk, people would stop and listen to what I was saying if I talk quiet. So that's like a gift that you have to learn to balance, right? And not necessarily work for persuasion. Like I remember this, I've just spent a lot of time in bars, because my father's owned bars and I was bartender. But I remember this person saying to me, like, so Maddie, you got a serious charm and you're trying to learn how to use it. And I was like, yeah, totally. Because everybody giving you whatever you want is not as easy as people think, because I don't know what's important yet. Now I'm just getting whatever I want. And sometimes I'm getting things screwed up. And so, yeah, I'm really paying attention to like why I would want this. Like, what does that need? Like, people would just do stuff for me and give me things and stuff. And I'd be like, it's so weird, man. I don't even know that person. So it's just part of the card is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not necessarily something that I made happen. It kind of came with the energy.
yeah, that charisma, they kind of speak of it with this card as well. The Nine of Hearts, Queen of.
Mhm. You froze. You're frozen with your mouth open. Hello, Mars, honey. JLo, it's always good to see you here. I appreciate when you come in and you keep it so lively and true. Mars, honey, grand rising to you. And Rashad's frozen, but maybe only for me. So maybe I'm over talking. I'll be quiet. No, it wasn't only for me. So yeah, we're talking about the nine. That fly's about to go in his mouth. That's right, JLo. We're talking about hello, the Nine of Spades week. Gina wasn't able to join us today, and we know she loves her nines and conversation. So we were really talking about what comes after the nine and the light at the end of the tunnel. We've talked about attachment in relationships. We've touched on dominance. We've talked about the placement of the card and what's in Mercury and things like that, the King of Hearts. And Rashad just froze. So we're waiting to see if he comes back to share more with me. But anyone has any questions about the Nine of Spades or Nine of Spades shares or things you're noticing? Because the whole intention of the card table is to develop an awareness of these energies and for the purpose of mastery of your own being and your story and who you are in the collective. Yeah. So as we do the weeks each week, we're kind of noticing with you all what the energies are. I don't know that we've gotten to a year yet, but I know we certainly intend to, and then possibly even repeat it, because knowing the energy of the week does a lot to help you understand how you're playing out and what's playing out around you. So that's what we've been doing, and we were finishing up the Nine of Spades, and Rashad froze, and he's back.
Yeah, no, somebody said Android. No, it's not an Android. It's actually iPhone. But iPhone has been having Android problems. No, seriously, sorry not to be a fan of the iPhone, but I think what it was I was in the sun so it was overheating my phone. Of course, as always, was out doing Amazon. I just got finished right before I got on and didn't really get to charge my phone either. Um, am
Well,
I am I still here?
yeah, you're still here. So the question from Mars Honey, who made the Android joke, is how do you determine the weekly and yearly card? So the weekly card is pretty much all the time the same weekly card, right? Like next year, this week will also be a nine of spades week, correct, Rashad?
I'm sorry, just a second. I'm trying to change the audio to my phone.
Oh, we're happy to have any of your questions. We understand your first time. That's why we're
You
doing.
said
Go ahead.
what was the question?
How do you determine the weekly year card? And I said that it happens like next year, this week will also be a nine of spades week. Like it's kind of like determined like a calendar, like the weeks are already laid out, right?
Yeah, it is different by the year. So the weeks are based upon the date of the year. I mean the which week we're in. Like week one is the Ace of Hearts. Week two, so that's how the weeks are determined. So the nine of spades would be based upon the solar value of the nine of spades. The and so you're talking about.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like there's 52 weeks and there's 52 cards. It starts at the ace of hearts and it ends at the king of spades and it goes through each week like that. Okay, does that help you understand, Mars Honey? And then the yearly card for yourself, that's like usually on the app and stuff, and it depends on which solar spread you're on, what your yearly card is. But Rashad, you want to speak to how somebody finds their yearly card? I just use the Destiny app, so that's how I find it. Is there another way to find your yearly card, Rashad?
Yes. I'm sorry, I was trying to let my phone cool off. But yes, so
Oh,
the year.
you can do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the yearly depends on which one you're looking at, like your long range card, which depend on which app or which person you're referring to as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be so the card for the year could be based upon your 7 year spread. So they'll be based upon the 7 year spread, which is kind of technical. This is probably why the classes why we always recommend classes, because when you first look at the cards, is in the verbiage of it and what we may reference sometimes can be the jargon can be a little confusing. I know. um and
Yeah,
but
it took me years.
so but that's really for the people that you when you really want to study it and dive deep and really track your cycles, the you taking a class would be best, because even the books doesn't explain sometimes the jargon that we use. To even breaking down how to find your weekly, you may not find that in any books. So I did say that I was going to post how you find your personal weekly here as well. The only thing that's not included in that is looking at your periods, like your 7 year periods, and tracking your 7 year periods. So your 7 year periods is going to be based upon the 7 years, of course, that you have. And the first 7 years is your Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. So
Mhm.
that's how you go through your yearly card. Which if you have, they used to have an app on My Destiny app. It used to be a app on your phone, but he doesn't have it on the iPhone no more. If I don't, maybe it's just me, I can't
I have
find.
a My Destiny app on my phone. That's the one I was just talking about. That's
Mm,
by Robert Camp, and it's called My Destiny app. Somebody's asking in the thread,
You have
and
to go to the. You don't have to go to the website. It's an app on your phone.
it's an app on my phone.
Let me see, because I can. What's that?
Let me see. How do I show you? Wait,
It's not there no more.
there. Wait, this one.
It can be into. It is. I see. Wow.
Yeah,
Can you shit? Is that an iPhone?
yeah.
What? No, I'm upset. I'm jealous. That's crazy. How you have that? Is that phone on? Is it live?
What is it live? Yeah, I mean, yeah, they change all the time. You know, I look at them every day. You're in here. Let me see. I'll check yours and see if it's true.
What did I do, Robert Count? I mean, I
Oh my
understand
God,
sometimes
you're
it's
gonna
gonna
turn
guilty
into
by
a big.
association.
Right now, you're having a 10 of clubs year. You're having a Queen of Hearts 52 day and a 4 of Hearts daily card. That's what I have on yours for today.
It is a lot more simple than astrology. If you're intimidated, don't is because you're new and don't get the jargon, but it is extremely more simple than astrology, from my experience. So it has helped me actually understand astrology.
Yeah.
Uh, it really is like the beginning steps of astrology a lot of times. And of course, we really didn't say this, but Nana Space was more talking about the connection and those things. But it is universal knowledge as well. It is a graduation and understanding the connections, kind of wrap it all up and understanding the connections around you. That's probably why a lot of times they go into psychology and a lot of those type of mental institutions, or going into the field and science of higher wisdom and science of studying people, gaining
Mhm.
more knowledge about the people around you and understanding those ins and outs about yourself, so you're not so attached. You can create boundaries, and you can create a peace of mind for yourself.
Mhm. No, I agree. I completely agree. So, yeah, I don't know. I just looked into my apps. I couldn't find it. I'm not going to go down the pipe with you, but it may not be there. But Aquarius has got a lot of magical stuff in there. She just put in that 7 week and 52 day card into her website too, Lo. You're right. So that's very cool. I was just going to say something and I got distracted, but you know what I mean? But that you can do two, three things. As soon as you try to do like another thing all at the same time, I tell you, I'm just it's like no, focus, focus. So but you were saying something that made me think of that, so I can't remember. Anyway, so we'll let it go.
Was
um
it the universal wisdom knowledge? A lot of times astrologers, astronomers, they can.
yeah, oh, the astrology stuff, that's what I wanted to say. Is like, when somebody says this is intimidating, to me it's like it's faith. The cards deepened my faith in the fact that there's energies working together in some collective way that has an intelligence to it that we're part of, right? So it's not about being able to figure it out before it all happens. It's about being able to refer to it, just like you do like something that inspires you, but you don't necessarily stand in that. You grow from that inspiration. So I feel the cards are intended and can be inspiring to us to recognize how things are working and how things do fit together and how there are cycles and how lives come in and out. Like, of course, my week, and I looked at my week, and then the people I met for my new job were those cards. Like, it's just ways that you start to recognize, like, oh, everything really is happening. And I like to think that it's happening for us. Why not? I mean, we get to whatever we focus on grows, right? That's our superhero powers. So these cards to me, though they're layered and they take time to learn the jargon, they're developing faith in the oneness that is us, and that these systems, these meaning makers like astrology, human design, and stuff like that, these are here to help us understand what our purpose is. Like I talked earlier about being this king of diamonds, everyone's like, Maddie just gets whatever she wants. I didn't realize I was a king of diamonds when I was just getting whatever I wanted. I was just like, man, this is really weird. Why do I just get what I want all the time? Like, I didn't even have to fight for that. So, it's just everybody's different. But once I learned that comes with a big responsibility, and you're an example and you're a leader, then, I can't just be a brat doing whatever I want, because there's ripples to everything I do. And that also comes, that accountability, firstborn kind of stuff. But like all that, learning it from the cards liberated me from any of the twisted ways I might have thought about the way I was or judged myself or others, when you're just like, oh, that person's a 3 of hearts, or oh, that's how, he's, it softens to me the judgments, because you just start to understand that these energies are all working together and we're all part of these energies. So there's nobody who's like cooler or better. Every lesson you got to learn and I got to learn.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, totally. That is the purpose of the cards, and actually, the Nine of Spades is considered tarot. there's a card that represents tarot as well, and and or the card and the cards and cardology are tools to help you understand the connections that you have with other people in the relationships, and also understand your placement within the universe. Not be
Mhm.
so caught up in your selfish needs, attachments, or whatever it may be. And it's to give you a peace of mind, and help you out for those who are or wondering or that's confused.
Mhm.
Got what you said earlier. Um, Oh yeah, the magnetism and the because like you said, people want to give you things, right? And I always call the non-space as the gift that keeps giving, because I think that's why people are so magnetic, because they give off just good energy, so you attract good
Mhm.
energy back, and people
Mhm.
can feel that they appreciate it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
people do work that King of Hearts, because it can be, I always say, if you look at the Wizard of Oz, it can be the coward or the lion with the big heart, but it's all based upon his heart, right? How much confidence
Mhm.
he has in himself, and how much he can glow and give to people. you know.
Yeah, light bright, light bright. Hmm. So
So
what, let's see what's going on. Okay, you can ask me a question. What are you gonna say?
no, I was going to answer the question.
Oh,
So
good.
uh, looking at your yearly is based upon it's based upon your 7 year periods, where you're at in life. So, and I say that because it is that is another jargon. So from 0 to 7 is considered your sun. Some people would call it your Mercury. And then the next 7 year between would be between 8 to 13, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Is it 14 and 15? Let me make sure, because sometimes I don't want to get the math wrong.
14.
14. Yeah. So 0 to 7, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. So it goes like that. So those are your periods. And then within those 7 year periods, you have a Mercury, Venus, Mars for every year. And that's going to be what's considered your yearly, the card that rules over your yearly. And then within that, you have your, so let's say you're in the first 7 years of your Mercury period. Um, so whatever card you have for that year, for that spread, is going to be your yearly card, basically.
Hmm.
So I know it's that's why the classes are kind of better, because you can see it visually.
Hmm. Hmm.
I guess I'll do a tutorial around your yearly, how to exactly
A
find your.
great idea, Rashad, to do that and even have like and then have people come and chat about it. I fully support you sharing the way you understand these things. Like I know that you've been in a survival game with the California and the Amazon and all that stuff, but I really do think you have a strong professor in you when it comes to the cards and like the way that you can really talk about it and help people understand it. So, and I think people are open to learning, but however you want to use your time, when I first meet people, I can be such a pusher and a shaper because I want to help develop. But then as I know people more, I back away and I say, well, whatever they do, they do. And now I just love them. So it doesn't. But I love the idea of giving more information to people. And one of the things we're going to do on the website as the book comes out, and I did send you the email about adding some card stuff, is we're going to
Yeah,
change
I,
your
I
page.
got it.
What?
So I'll do that today.
Okay.
Sometimes today, and send that to you.
Okay. Because there's a way we're going to do a page on nature. We're going to do a nature page. We're going to do a yoga page and a meaning makers page so we can include this stuff so people want to learn about human design, astrology, and not that like we're going to do more than just kind of drop some seeds and start some possibilities, but we're connected to so many people who are doing things in more expanded ways, but it gives people a sense of more to consider than they're the good guys and we're the bad guys, or I'm not like them or they're not like me. To recognize there's these systems that are meaning makers that help us understand ourselves, and that nature's always in front of us as an inspiration, an example, and a teacher, and that our body is all about the yoga, which is the union of our body and our soul, which means like you don't want to let your personality get in between you and the full expression of your essence, so I'm having so much fun with the simplicity of this now. I don't know what happened, but what I now know more than ever as the King of Diamonds is, yes, I may be a visionary and I see things way before they happen. So I sometimes push things to happen before their time because I see it. So I'm really learning that that's my lesson right now, is to trust that it's going to happen as it happens, but I'm not supposed to push it. I'm supposed to stay what I'm doing and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like with poor Rashad, I tell him all the things, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's what's gonna happen." I'm like, "Meanwhile, it's probably not gonna happen for a couple of years, but I told him it's gonna happen." So you know what I mean? So what do they say?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I can't say I've grown used to it, but yeah, life. I think that's the power. Like you said, the King of Diamonds is considered the psychic. So it is one of those people that sees the from a universal standpoint, as the nine of spades should as well.
Mm-hmm. So the spreads, you said, is that like a playing card spread, like a hand? Well, when I play cards, like, you hold your hand. So I do think of when I looked at my life spread for the first time, the 13 cards, like that was like my hand. But then I recognized after learning more that you're actually developing over time the strengths of each one of those things and integrating yourself into like your best version, however you respond to the classroom. As we said, the classroom's always the same. The solar spreads, I don't know that I can give a fair understanding as to what created them, but I can say that they are the boards, almost like the boards of how we're moving at that time. Like they help you see how the energies are moving. Can you say more to the solar spreads and where they originate or what they're about? Because somebody who doesn't know anything about the cards, it's Coco Lux, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, is asking. So I wonder, what do you think, Rashad?
Yeah, that's a funny. I won't say funny question, but if a lot of people look around and look for that answer, and I can't say it's truly been found. To be honest, if someone say they have, I want to see their exact source, because it's said to have came from, um, um, gosh, what's his name? Um, what's his name?
Who are you talking
The
about?
Three of Diamonds. He's a Three of Diamonds. Gosh, I forget his name, but
Oh,
it's a magnetic. Oni Richmond. Oni
yeah.
Richmond. So it's said to have came from him. But so the spreads itself is 89. I believe it's 89 spreads, and it's going from 1 to 89, which is like a life path, a life spread, and you have 13 cards, including yourself. So it goes from your Mercury onto your transformation card. So um zero H0, because we start with H0. 0 to 12 is actually the sun. That's your Mercury card is 0 to 6, and then 7 to 14, I believe it is 13, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, because you're counting yourself 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, because you count yourself. Oh, did I go out? Is so
Mhm.
7 to 13 would be the Venus, if you count, depending on how you're counting it, right? Because you have your age spread as well. So if I was looking at age, I'll do 0 to 12. But since I'm doing your yearly, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to age 0, then age 1. Then it repeats itself. So you'll be in the Mercury period for that 0 to 7,
Mhm.
right? Um, so those are your spreads. Let me see if I can share the screen. I don't know if I can share the screen.
Well, can I do it?
Yeah, if it
Uh,
allows you. Does it allow you?
well, where would I go to find out? I got mute stop cam settings. Let me see the settings. Let me share screen.
You would click on. So we tried to share. No,
That's so funny.
no. Let me try to get the
I'm in
other
jail.
device.
I don't.
I think I
I'm trying to
X
find a little
myself out
button I
completely.
can click. Okay. Hello, Danielle. Nice to see you or hear you. And JLo, you always keep it going. What's this? I can give you a mind-blowing twist and more insight living to my Uranus. What was that about? Did you already give that? Did I miss it? And let's see. Don't lock yourself away yet. Climb over that wall. I'm going away. The background is confusing to me. Oh, sorry. I was just being silly. I can figure out how to change it. But you mean the background of the card things, the solar spreads behind it?
Yeah, that's not the original.
I like the idea of having a piano. All right, I'm sorry. I'm playing. I get excited. Did we lose Rashad again? Oh, Coco Clocks, what do you mean? The background of the solar spreads? Is that what you're talking about? Or my background? Um, so yeah, I mean, when it comes to the weekly stuff, it really is so much about the cycles, right? I like the piano too, yeah. It's so much about our cycles. And I think what Rashad's trying to show us with what he's got going on, and his phone was already hot and he's in his car. So, he's doing as much magic as a professor can do. But what he's trying to say is that there's cycles within the cards, right? The 7 and 13-year cycles. And they also identify like stronger influences during that time, and each card has a kind of influence, and there's books that just tell you what each card's like, but it's very basic in that it's like numerology. It's like everybody's climbing the same ladder and they can do it. Okay, great, JLo. I look forward to it. We're all climbing the same ladder, so we go from our individual expression, to how to work with others, to how to be creative and to expand in a bigger way, to go to make a foundation from what we learn, to let the foundation fall apart and learn what we learn about ourselves and come back into ourselves in our 6, and then make a bridge to what we believe in based on our experimentation in our 7, and then going from that to our 8, where we start to like create from that momentum, right? From that like figure 8, that infinity, that loop of just, I got to get it done. But even then, the 9 comes and the 9 says, we got to change again. There's more, there's another cycle, like, because we're always evolving in a certain like pace or way that the universe is conspired, right? Because we all have the same lessons, for sure. We all have the same lessons. But whether or not you learn them the first, second, third, 10th time, that's on you, right? That depends on what you're going to do with the lesson. No one can actually do it for you. No matter how good you are at charming or manipulating others, like, the bottom line is your soul, your seed, your purpose needs to live through its process to come to be itself. Sorry, Rashad, I just filled up and started chatting.
No, you're fine. Yeah, my
Mhm.
overheating.
So you were talking about the cycles, but let's talk about that another day more, because I just ran into how these cycles, the 7 and the 13, they're like a classroom of learning and where your influences will be, because we're all learning the same lessons differently, and it's on how you're going to respond to your classroom.
No, yeah, it is. And it is, to get deeper. There's, you can throw the astrology in there, like Agena is doing the astrology and the cards,
Mhm.
but that's more advanced concept. Like I said, the cards are really basic. It kind of keeps it simple down to the age periods, like 1 through 89. So you have 1 through 89 spreads, and they repeat themselves throughout the years. So yeah,
Mhm.
and I was
You're not. We can't hear you, Rashad. We might have to let you go, honey. We can't hear you again. I can't hear you, honey. Yeah, I know there's no sound. I think it's Rashad's. As far as the books, Play Your Cards Right has a lot of great basic information in it. Gina's always singing about that one. Nina Diamond wrote a book. Jazz put together a book on like numerology and the cards. And again, Aquarius Maximus, she's got a pretty extensive website, aquariusmaximus.com, where she gives you a lot of information in there too. There's the Robert Camp books. Gina has that study group class. That's a great time. I think she's going to be doing it again this month. Yeah, and she's a great resource. That's good. Thanks, JLo, for telling me about that and reminding me. I don't remember what the dates are. I know it's Mondays, I believe, in December. So she's at Guided by the Cards. And if you ask her when her study group is, anyone who's interested, it's a great way to just kind of almost get around the jargon, right? Like many of us who are here, we were on Clubhouse and we were just daily listening to the energy of the cards with Diamond. And that kind of gave us a little bit of a sense of like, whoa, what's going on? What is all this? So I think it's that kind of thing where you just kind of get around it and see if it calls you, and if you're inclined to know more. Everybody finds their meaning maker in different ways, right? Rashad also has the PDF books that can help you, and they're usually in the link. If it's not in this link, like he usually puts a lot of cool information in our links to help people find information about the cards. Nice, JLo. Thanks for having my back, sister. Dig
Hmm.
it. Right. So yeah, people were asking about how to know more about the cards, and we were talking about the things that we knew. And JLo was reminding me about Gina's study group, and that you have that link in there about the PDF books and stuff like that. And I talked about Diamond's book and Jazz's book and Play Your Cards Right and things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
haven't
you want me
gotten
to go?
Jazz's book.
What?
Hmm?
You didn't get Jazz's book?
No, I haven't gotten there yet. What was you about to say?
Do you want to let this go? Like, because you keep having those issues, do you want to like start to wrap up, or where are you at? What do you
Yeah,
need,
yeah.
honey?
No, yeah, we've been on long enough, I think. No, if there's any other questions, just let us know. Hit me on Instagram. I'll try to post a small tutorial about the yearly and the daily again. I thought I'd uploaded the daily, but I'll post that again if you haven't got it. But yeah, there are links in my bio of links of the books and the spreads. We really don't talk about how to read the spreads enough, probably, and kind of keep that in the classes, right? Kind of secret society type of thing.
No.
But because also because it is takes a lot of time, so if you're going to commit to something like that, and you just don't want to kind of just wash over it, it takes a lot of attention, and you want to make sure you can ask the questions, because a lot can come out of a spread, to be honest. So
True story.
looking. So
True
yeah, if
story.
you need any help, just DM us or email us. But I appreciate you all showing up.
Me
And you have
too.
anything
So
that you
speaking
have
about
come?
the Tuesday, huh?
I said you have anything that you want to talk about? Any groups or classes or
Well, the
consultation?
tennis spades week is next week. I'm persisting in my circles, touching circles, sisterhoods that anybody can play with, and the couples fishbowl persist as well. That we're having fun learning about the patterns and letting the relationship become more important than the pattern of whatever kind of game you play. And I just want to make a sincere shout, prayer, intention for all the families, mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, fathers, daughters, all of it, that they're able to like see each other as they are, that they're able to communicate without adding more hurt, that they're able to release to peace in any way that they can, and understand that as children change, we change. As relationships change, we change, and we can only change, right? So I just want to put a sincere prayer to everybody who goes through that in this holiday season, changes that can come, that they're able to do it with a consciousness that this is a new beginning. And sometimes we have to go through uncomfortable changes to begin again. So I pray that all of us are able to do it gracefully. And we have lots of stuff that's continuing to happen with my spot over here, Growing with the Seasons, but I'm not going to go down the pipe with all that. But Rashad, thanks for checking out the book and looking at it and adding your part to the cards and the meaning makers. And big love to Gina. And we miss her, and she'll be back next week with us. And thank you for being a great audience, and we appreciate you. And thanks for helping each other and answering questions and growing your own little community in the moments of being in the chat. That's kind of sweet. Appreciate that.
Mhm. No, yeah, for sure. And so to Gina, hopefully everything gets well, smooths over. This is
Mm-hmm.
not a week, so expect, like you said. I was actually going to ask you. That's weird. That's funny. I was going to ask you to say a prayer. In that same essence. So I appreciate that, June devotion. So thank you all, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rashad. Appreciate you. Thanks for always getting it done and being a great guy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the
All right.
mirror. Appreciate it. All right, bye.
Thanks for the mirror. Bye. Bye, all. Good night.